think about any project, we have the element of user, we have the context, content and story, and then action and the response. And it's very important to understand that we have to start and we have to focus on the user, asking why we want to design for an interaction, especially if we want to trigger social interactions, if we want to trigger, let's say, like a small talk between strangers. What is the context of that? Is there like a content that is existing and then an action, a trigger would activate the response? The importance of design thinking is really immense. I would say, especially the empathy that is related to the user, we need to have a fresh set of eyes in order to design for the user when it comes to sociability. From the dynamic spaces to the immersive spaces, we can arguably say that like the intensity of the experience or the level of transformativeness differs, and somehow it gets more and more saturated when we go towards the immersive spaces. And this is a good thing. Why? We are living in an era where more than 70% of Generation Z rather spend their money on experiences than on products. Like our taste is becoming, let's say, or our preferences are becoming different. We don't really care only to have, let's say, products or materials or something that we possess. And we prefer more to have like fulfillment through experiences. Also, the saturation of commodities is another topic, like how one product can stand out, or let's say in case of our own profession, like imagine like how a client would choose, let's say, when it comes to something pretty much traditional, like a facade lighting for a hotel. How do we position ourselves? How do we help them and their brand stand out? That's something important. Also, the other factor is the technological advancement helps for creating like new opportunities. And last but not least, the power of social media and the consumption of these visually appealing, Instagrammable moment is just fueling this desire of sharing. And the sharing culture is something very important that goes hands in hands with experience and experience economy. So this is the context that we are working on. So if we think about any project, and like the interactive and immersive environments are not an exception, we have the element of user, we have the context, content and story, and then action and the response. And it's very important to understand that we have to start and we have to focus on the user, asking why we want to design for an interaction, especially if we want to trigger social interactions, if we want to trigger, let's say, like a small talk between strangers. What is the context of that? Would it be the same if you do something in the social fabric of Sweden, if you compare it to, let's say, the Spanish social fabric? Also, is there like a content that is existing and then an action, a trigger would activate the response? Like these are like the whys that we need to start first. And like any other project, again, like the importance of design thinking is really immense. I would say, especially the empathy that is related to the user. We need to have a fresh set of eyes in order to design for the user when it comes to sociability. So let's dive into different applications of interactivity. I start with community engagement and sociability. One of the very recent projects that really was interesting for me was this project that is called Your System is a Garden. And I liked how the designers described it as a shy and anti-interactive installation. So basically, when you enter, you become part of the system. But what triggers the installation is your stillness. So if you move, the growth of this garden stops. So you need to be still in order to activate this generative audio-visual content that is created in this virtual immersive garden. Whereas like maybe the image that comes to our mind when we talk about interactivity is like something really active, like I called it extrovert. So back to the context and the user, we need to also think what kind of trigger we want to have for what kind of user. Do we really want them to jump, to shout, or do we need something that is more, let's say, shy?